I'd like to convene the January 20th, 2015 City Council meeting of Lake Forest. Thank you all for coming tonight. Invocation. I'd like to roll call. I'd like to say all presidents in here, except Dwight Robinson and myself, are under the weather right now, so don't shake any of our hands. But council is all here.
And our invocation tonight will be led by Pastor Steve DiNicola, Calvary Chapel, Foothill Ranch. It appears he might be running just a few minutes late.
In lieu of that, I think that I'll lead us in prayer tonight. So if you would bow your head. And Heavenly Father, we just thank you and praise you, Father God, for this gathering together of the people that are concerned about the future of Lake Forest, Father. We thank you, Father God, for imparting your spirit here in this chamber, Father, that we might do our job with diligence and patience, Father. We thank you, Father God, for this position that you've given us as council members. Thank you, Father, for the community, and thank you for blessing the community, watching over those that protect and serve us with the Orange County Sheriff Department and Orange County Fire Authority. Thank you, Father, for our staff. We thank you for this evening. We ask that we get all of our work done tonight, and we pray for your healing power upon Councilman Dwight Robinson and myself, and keep everybody else well. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Councilman Adam Nick.
Please rise. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
And in closed session tonight, do we have anything to report?
Your Honor, there was no reportable action taken on either item.
And City Clerk, we have presentations tonight?
Agenda Item 2, commendation for Jim Rosenberg as the 2014 Parks and Recreation Chairperson, submitted by Acting Director of Community Services.
I'll move that we move the presentation. So.
Second. Vote, everybody.
And that motion carried unanimously.
I'd like to acknowledge Mission Viejo City Councilman, newly elected, Greg Roth is here. Thank you for joining us tonight. I can't shake hands tonight. But I do want to say that our committees, our people, our activists that are in our city, that have been involved with our city and rolled up their sleeves and made a difference. Jim's been a long-serving Park and Recreation Commissioner, and he's chaired this last year and did an admirable job, an outstanding job, because we not only have a gem here in Lake Forest, we have the jewel of all of Orange County in our new Lake Forest Sports Park. And so I'd like to commend him and thank him for his outstanding service, his perseverance and patience, and wisdom that you have led the Park and Recreation Commission with. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Agenda Item 3, commendation for Andrew Hamilton as the 2014 Planning Commission Chairman, submitted by Director of Development Services.
We're going to have to ask Andrew Hamilton to come down from the dais. You know, we've got a lot going on in the city of Lake Forest, and our planning commission has been right in the heat of things. We've got over 4,500 new homes coming and storefronts coming to Lake Forest, and part of that's been done with the wisdom of our planning commission. So I want to thank Andrew Hamilton, the former commissioner, now my mayor pro tem, for his diligence, his wisdom, and his perseverance in helping us attain all that we have in Lake Forest. And so congratulations. That brings us to the report from the student liaison.
I do like the fist bump action going on here. So, yeah. Good evening, Mayor, City Council. This is Joseph Honor, your student liaison, reporting on Tuesday, January 20th, 2014. At El Toro, we had just enjoyed our 3-day weekend from Martin Luther King Day. As we were studying for finals, our girls' water polo team has been tearing it up in Santa Barbara. Our girls unfortunately lost their first game to eventual tournament champions, but won 3 straight after. This makes our girls rank number 1 in CIF in Division II. This is an enormous accomplishment, and we look forward as they approach CIF. Boys basketball takes on Dana Hills tomorrow, but watch out for the colossal blue wave. Upon entering the gym, you will notice the huge amount of blue coming from our student section that night. Look out for a special surprise between the 3rd and 4th quarter, as a couple of Power Rangers lead us into a very special roller coaster. Dana Hills also wears blue on their jerseys, but tomorrow we'll show them who the true blue is. Game time is 7 o'clock, all blue, you don't want to miss it. Winter Formal is fast approaching. Ticket sales go up next week. The theme is the fabulous Las Vegas, the date is February 7th, and the venue is none other than the Garden Grove Community Center. We hope it's an extravagant time. Missing football? The very best in the Orange County take on the very best in the Inland Empire in the IE versus the OC inaugural All-Star game. The game is Saturday. You'll see many familiar Charger faces playing, including El Toro's very own Rob Frith, who was selected to be the very first head coach of this event. This would be a great game. Go Orange County. That's all for tonight, and until next time, this is Joseph Hanna signing off, and as always, go Chargers.
Joseph, the El Toro's soccer boys. Jeff was our student liaison last year.
Yes,
and he
sir.
was the goalie for El Toro. How is the boys soccer team doing this year?
Well, actually, unfortunately, I didn't include it this time because I couldn't get the information yet, but I'm assuming they're still undefeated, actually, and they're ranked pretty high in CIF as well. And they were, I believe last game, their home game, they were trying to break the attendance record. And they were giving out free food and everything. I wish it could be that.
Well, we wish we would all known about that.
Yeah.
Our student liaison, let's get to know at least a week in advance.
I know.
All right, well, keep us posted on that. And how's your knee doing?
Thank God it's a lot better. I can say that it's fixed now and just recovery now. So.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
get a speed recovery, a full
Thank you.
recovery, and play ball.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
take care. Thank you. At this time, we will convene the City Council for the Housing Authority. Housing Authority will be the salmon-colored agenda at the side. And with that, we have closed session report. Anything?
No reportable action, Mr. Chair.
Presentations? No presentation. Public comments. At this time, the members of the public may address the City Housing Authority regarding any item within the subject matter of the Lake Forest Housing Authority. No action may be taken on items not listed on the agenda unless authorized by law. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person and overall time limit of 30 minutes for public comments portion of the agenda. Any person wishing to address Lake Forest Housing Authority on any matter, whether or not it appears on the agenda, is requested to complete a request to speak form, the blue form at the side, available at the door, and complete the form and submit it to our authority secretary prior to the individual being heard by the Lake Forest Housing Authority. Whenever possible, lengthy testimony should be presented to the Lake Forest Housing Authority in writing. 8 copies and only points that are present or additionally, a request to register written comment form is available at the agenda public review counter. Do we have any public comments?
We've had no requests for the Housing Authority.
Anything from the dais? Moving right along then. Consent calendar. Entertain a motion.
All right. I'll move the minutes of February 18th and October 21st, 2014.
So this is the consent calendar. This would be items 2 and 3.
Oh, well, then I'll just move the entire consent
Okay.
calendar, sorry.
Okay, all in favor? Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, please, everybody vote.
Given that Dr. Gardner was not here, perhaps I need to second it. It has to do with last year, so I second that.
Okay. All in favor, vote, please.
Just let the record state that I'm abstaining from the meetings I was not.
And that motion carried.
And as there is no further business, the Lake Forest Housing Authority is adjourned. This brings us back to Lake Forest, and it will open up public comments from the city members at Lake Forest. At this time, members of the public may address the City Council regarding any items within the subject matter of the City Council. No action may be taken on items not listed on the agenda unless authorized by law. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes per person and an overall time limit of 30 minutes for public comments portion of the agenda. Any person wishing to address the City Council on any matter, whether or not it appears on the agenda, is requested to complete the request to speak form available at the door and completing and returning to now the City Clerk prior to the individual being heard by the City Council. Whenever possible, lengthy testimony should be presented in writing, 8 copies. Additionally, a request to register written comments form is available at the agenda public review counter. Madam Clerk, have we had any requests for public speak?
Adria, followed by Brian Lockery.
Good evening. I'm back. Adria Lewis. I'm resident Lake Forest, 32. I have some negative news that I'd like to share. It's illegal to traumatize, abuse, hurt, and scar an animal. It should be illegal and unlawful to traumatize, abuse, hurt, and scar citizens. Citizens need their own violation code against police. This describes the day shift and night shift. They mistreat people. They incorrectly write down facts. They take advantage of people's tired states. They have offensive conduct, abusive power. They rig situations. They misconstrue situations. They hinder and don't help. They abuse people mentally, physically, verbally, and emotionally. Blame people and then set people up for their behavior. They have no critical thinking skills. They provoke people on camera to sell the footage. The bigger, the better. They play mind games. They're consistently tardy. They're 100% useless. They claim one thing and lie afterwards. And, God, the list just goes on, and I think I'll just write it in a letter. Thanks.
Thank you.
Brian Lockery.
Hi.
Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, Mayor Voights and Lake Forest City Council. My name's Brian Lockery. I'm here representing the South Orange County Economic Coalition, and we have packets that are being distributed to you now. We're formerly the South Orange County Regional Chambers of Commerce, and we recently changed our name to the Economic Coalition. And if you want to know who we are, on page 2 we have a little snapshot showing the various organizations that are members of the South Orange County Regional Chambers. And you'll see there's some large organizations like Edison and Cox Communications. There's medium companies as well, South County Bank, doctors. And then there's the very small businesses like my own business, Communications Lab, located here in Lake Forest. The mission of the South Orange County Economic Coalition is to advance the interest of the business communities in South Orange County through leadership, advocacy, education, and representation. So what does that mean to advocate regionally? Well, our organization will track legislation both at the state level as well as the federal level and see how that affects businesses in the South Orange County area. We're dedicated to the improvements of the local economy as well as infrastructure, and infrastructure is critically important to enhancing and attracting business to South Orange County as well as retaining business here in South Orange County. From an education standpoint, we have monthly meetings where we have speakers that come out and speak to the businesses in the community. We have elected official meet and greets, and I'll get to one that we're having actually this upcoming Friday that you're all invited to. It's a free event, and it's going to be held at Saddleback Memorial. And we certainly invite you all to come, and we've invited state and federal legislators to be there too, so they can mix and meet with the local businesses in the community as well. We support regional initiatives in terms of infrastructure, and that primarily deals with power, water, energy, workforce housing, schools, things like that, because those are critical components to the economic vitality of the region. And we build coalitions and encourage business-friendly policies. Particularly here in Lake Forest, we applaud the city for the thoughtful planning that has taken place in recent years along Bake Parkway, and recently with the Brookfield development and the former Auto Mall site near Foothill Ranch. And we encourage the City Council to join us in supporting the much-needed improvements along the 241-91 connector, which will have a profound impact here in the South Orange County area and Lake Forest. So before I run out of time, I do want to mention a couple of events that are coming up in your packet. One, as I mentioned, this Friday over at Saddleback Memorial, 5:30 to 7:30. And then a big event that we're really looking forward to that I want to make sure you're aware of is the South Orange County Economic Report. And this is being done in partnership with Saddleback College. And it is going to take place Friday, February 27th. It's a lunch event from 11:30 to 1:30. I would encourage the city, if available, to get a table at this event. It's going to be a wonderful event, and it'll do a good job of analyzing the economic future of the region of South Orange County, which is quickly becoming an economic powerhouse here, not only in Orange County but for the region as well. So. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Other than that, our website is economiccoalition.com, and we encourage you to learn more about us, and again, happy to answer any questions if you have them. Thank you. Yes?
I have a question for you. On the economic report, would that just include all of Orange County or just South Orange County?
It's South Orange County. Yeah, this is focused on South Orange County. We recognize that there's a lot of organizations throughout Orange County. Orange County Business Council is a wonderful organization, a wonderful business advocacy group, but they often focus a lot on what's going on Irvine North, and so we think what goes on south of Irvine is pretty important too. So we're really proud of what the South Orange County Economic Coalition has done and will continue to grow to do.
You know, we're really proud that Lake Forest we're the gateway to South Orange County. So we're at the top of South Orange County. So Mission Viejo is very blessed to be just below us.
Absolutely. We're proud of all the South Orange County cities.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've had no further requests.
Okay. At this time, it would bring us to the warrant registry. All matters listed under the warrant registry are considered routine and will be enacted by one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the City Council, the public, or staff requests specific items to be removed from the warrant registry for separate action. Madam Clerk, have we had any requests to remove any item from the warrant registry?
We've had no requests.
Colleagues?
Mr. Mayor, I need to abstain on a payment to Cummings and White for the amount of $450. It's concerning a legal action I'm involved in. Thank you.
Okay, duly noted.
Move the warrant register.
Second.
Everybody, please vote. Mr. Roth, did you guys have a counter? We just recently got it, so we're very proud of our new counter.
Very nice.
What? You report? All?
That motion carried unanimously.
Okay, so that brings us to consent calendar. Items 5 through 10. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the City Council, the public, or staff requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Madam Clerk, have we had any requests to remove any item from the consent calendar?
Yes, agenda item number 7.
Is that it from the public? Council?
Mr. Mayor, I need to abstain on number 8.
Number 8, Adam.
Correct, yes, sir. Thank you.
I'll move the consent calendar with the exception of item 7.
I'll second. I'd like to comment, too.
You may.
So I want to commend staff for getting 7 bids on item number 8. I think bravo is in order, and I really appreciate that. I also, for discussion purposes, I'll just wait to the end.
Now, Mr. Wheeler, Public Works, was it easier to get contracts back in for the RFP for the ADA ramps because they know the mayor uses them? Okay, please cast your votes.
That motion passed unanimously.
And that brings us to discussion items.
Agenda item number 7, bid documents for street sweeping services submitted by Director of Public Works, City Engineer, and removed from the consent calendar by members of the public. Dave Bass, followed by Bob Holtzclaw.
Dave Bass, Lake Forest. So I understand that there's some potential consideration of street sweeping being done on other than a weekly basis. That I don't have any specific preference one way or another. But my suggestion to you on that is to request bids, 2 bids. One that does it weekly throughout the year, and a second that does it weekly part of the year, and then every 2 weeks the other part of the year. By doing 2 bid requests, then you'll actually be able to do a true cost comparison between the 2 options. Thank you.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Bob Holtzclaw.
Hello, my name is Bob Holtzclaw, resident here of Lake Forest. May sound like a broken record, but I have to agree with Mr. Bass. About 2 years ago, Catherine McCullough brought it up that why don't we do biweekly, sweeping? And one of our other former councilmen said, "Oh, no, we can't do that because the state didn't allow it." So I called to Sacramento, and of course that was untrue. There are cities that do biweekly sweeping. Many of our streets during the summer and also in the spring don't really require every day, every week sweeping. They're just going down the street and just moving dust around. During the winter, when we have rain, and also in the fall, when we have a lot of leaves, yeah, okay, every week that sounds very feasible. Most of the trees that we have here in the woods and stuff like this, where a lot of foliage is out there, those are all private roads. They're not city streets anyway. So we shouldn't be looking at those in the wooded areas as part of our problem. My street, you could probably go down it right now, and there's nothing because it hasn't rained for a while again. So we've got, it's pretty clean. I think we ought to look at two different contracts, one and survey the city on which streets can actually do biweekly and some that can do weekly, and see what the cost difference is. Maybe we can be saving some money here because, as our former councilman wasn't quite true on this thing, and Catherine McCullough 2 years ago brought it up, and she was hammered down on it. So maybe we ought to look into it again, and we could probably save quite a bit of money that way on two different contracts. Thank you.
Thank you.
There have been no additional requests.
To entertain motions.
Following up on that issue, I actually, the topic came up when I was having my mini town hall meeting last week, and I subsequently did some research on Google, and there are many cities that do the part of the year they do the every other week. There are even some cities that have gone to every other week anyway. So I think Mr. Bass's suggestion is an excellent one. Let's get two bids, one of them that's the full thing, and but if it's substantially cheaper, why shouldn't we go with the half year, every other week? That being said, let me also add, street sweeping is probably the largest single complaint I get from residents of the city. So we need to do a better job with our policy for letting people deal with the cars that park on the street. That's a different issue, but not unrelated. In any event, I'd like to make a motion that we ask the Public Works to change the bid packet and add a second bid packet that for half the year would ask for every other week.
For discussion purposes, I was wondering if I think maybe staff might have maybe the same bid, but option A or B instead of having two different bids. And what is staff's opinion on, can I insert that before okay. What is staff's opinion on whether that's a viable option?
Mr. Members of the Council, I'll ask Mr. Wheeler to respond, but clearly that is an option that the Council probably could entertain. But Mr. Wheeler, do you want to respond to that question?
Sure. Staff can easily modify the bids to reflect your statements. They have two different bids at different costs. It won't take much effort and wouldn't affect our schedule to go ahead and do this. For Council's information, there's 34 cities in the county. 15 of them sweep the residential streets every other week. 15 of them sweep it weekly, and there's 4 that we didn't get information on. So it's about split. One thing to consider is it is part of our NPDES plan. It's part of what we tell the state that we do sweep weekly. It's not a state requirement, but it is something that we take credit for when we're reporting to the state about our things that we do for water quality.
I guess I have a follow-up question. How would that, when we report differently than what we, is that going to affect us in any way?
If you don't mind, let staff look into that, and just to make sure when we bring the bids back to council, we can include that in our staff report just to make sure. Like I said, it's not a state requirement, but we have been taking advantage of it, so we'll just come back with that information to council at council's pleasure when we bring the item back from bids. Then you'll understand, and we'll have a better knowledge of how that could affect, if it has any effect whatsoever.
Well, I'll second that motion then, if you are open to that friendly amendment.
Sure, yes.
Okay. Gentlemen, please cast your votes.
And that motion carried.
That brings us to discussion items 11 and 12.
Agenda item 11, consideration of Planning Commission applicants submitted by City Clerk.
Mr. Members of the City Council, I'll ask our City Clerk to provide a brief introduction to this initial item.
Mayor and Council, we have 7 applicants in the audience tonight. As you are aware, there are 8 applicants for the commission at this time. 1 applicant is out ill, was unable to attend the meeting, Jolene Fuentes. However, she is still interested in being considered for the appointment, so her name is listed on the ballot. She just won't be here to deliver an in-person introduction of her qualifications. If it's the council's pleasure, I'll begin calling the applicants up alphabetically. They'll be given an opportunity to provide a 3-minute introductory speech about their qualifications, and then if you have follow-up questions about them, you can ask them at that time, and they can be seated. We'll call the next applicant.
Okay. And then the vote will go as we'll vote on all applicants, and we'll go for the second round.
The council has a few options as how they'd like to vote. We do have 3 full 4-year terms available and 1 2-year term that was created with the election of Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton. So the council could vote for 4 people the first time, and then we'll continue to vote until we have consensus on 4 people, and then we can draw names by lot to select the terms, or the council could, as the staff report indicated, vote separately for the different terms.
Okay, and in the staff report, it mentioned that in 1991, when you had your first thing, you drew lots to see who had the half cycle.
That is correct. That is actually the standard procedure for newly incorporated cities in California. It's not transferred by requirement of state law for commissions. It's just that has been typically our practice when filling these types of vacancies.
Gentlemen, do you guys have any input on that?
I was thinking, once we get down to 4, we might ask from them if there's someone who prefers the 2-year,
or
short of
just-
that draw.
Or eliminate the first 3 top vote getters, and then if that comes out first like that. No?
I wouldn't mind doing the first if someone wanted the 2-year, and then if no one wanted it, then maybe we could
Draw lots. So is that,
go to the top vote getter. I'm open to it.
are you considering that for a motion then, right? You're going to vote on it.
I'll second it.
Okay, so basically, we're going to ask, if no one wants it, then we'll just pull a lot.
And this would be after you voted and selected 4 commissioners, correct? And then you would vote for 4 people, select your 4 commissioners, and then ask if of those 4, if anyone was willing to serve a 2-year term or interested in a 2-year term, and if not, you would draw lots. Okay.
That we don't need a vote then. Okay.
Our first applicant is David Carter.
Good evening, Mayor Voights and members of the council. My name is David Carter. I'm a 30-year resident of Lake Forest, and I'm privileged to say that I had been a planning commissioner for 19 years prior to 2013. During this period of time, we had quite a bit of activity in the city, and I think the commission functioned as a viable entity. I wanted to note 2 things. That people will know one thing about me. I always bring things to the forefront so that you're completely aware of them. Within our questionnaire, there was a question as to whether or not there was any social consideration or ties between any of the members of council. At the time I submitted my application, there were none. However, Mayor Voights and Dr. Gardner, council member, have recently become members of the Kiwanis. I am also a member of the Kiwanis. So I'd just like to put that on the record, so there's no question whatsoever. You have my resume. You'll note that I started my service of volunteering in 1966, volunteering for the draft. I have committed my life to municipal entities, and during my time frame, I've only had 3 years in the private sector that didn't have anything to do with municipal activity. One of the things that I am involved with, I'm very involved with social organizations and organizations within the community. There is no conflict between anything that I do because of bylaws. And I know that's for certain because, frankly, I wrote most of the bylaws for each one of those entities. So I'm here to offer my services to the community once again. I will always be here. And if there are any questions that you may have of me, I welcome them.
I'll open it up to the floor first. Starting, do you have any questions?
No, just a comment to one of the busiest guys in Lake Forest, and the city thanks you for all the work that you do for the city.
Thank you very much.
What as someone that's come and has a track record, and what would you say are our biggest challenges in Lake Forest in the coming years?
I think in the next couple of years, traffic is probably going to be a major issue. Parking is a consideration we have to really look at. And the community is changing in its continuity. We're now starting to look at infill. Most of the major development has been completed or is in process. And there are only 2, maybe 3 vacant lots that I'm aware of within the community. So any activities that we have will be for redevelopment, and that will be primarily infill. So I think it's going to be incumbent upon the Planning Commission to utilize its tool chest to look at those things to ensure that the compatibility of the community is always considered, that we look at things as they relate to the community, and as you have mentioned, we're the entry point for the county. So it's my desire to keep the city, that jewel that it is, and I know that it is. So that's my focus and my desire.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for your involvement in the Boys and Girls Club.
Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, with regard to that, keep May 30th open. I'll have more information.
All right.
Robert D. Almeida.
It always feels awkward talking about oneself, but I guess I have to do that. Good evening, members of the City Council, city staff, members of the community. I'm Robert Almeida, a retired urban planner with 40-plus years of experience, which in Orange County includes the master plans for Moulton Ranch, Coto de Caza, Bear Brand Ranch. I'm the founding partner of the Planning Center that created Rancho Serrano and Heritage Hill here in Lake Forest. And we also did the northern sector of the village of Northwood in Irvine. Over the years in the western United States, I have managed general plan updates. I have written land use elements, circulation elements, housing elements, and specific plans. I have prepared the land use analysis and designation for the 3 land use options for the land use element of the general plan at City of Las Vegas. I manage the master plan update for the 1,000-acre campus of the University of New Mexico. I have written land use ordinances, property development standards, urban design guidelines, hillside grading ordinances, and designed a couple hundred planned communities. I have designed large-scale projects in Canada, Mexico, and Colombia. But more important than my urban planning experience is my economic development experience. I managed the design team that created the 400-acre Westover Hills business complex in San Antonio, Texas, that includes the 500-acre SeaWorld of Texas and the 280-acre Hyatt Hill Country Resort, plus the only privately designed freeway in Texas. Closer to home, I've worked on the Narland Business Center That's an award-winning mixed-use industrial complex that is now part of the city of Laguna Niguel. We created that master plan and the development strategy for it when that property was out in the middle of nowhere. I'm sure you remember that. As the city matured, we need to enhance our tax base. We need to provide more opportunities for local business. We need to focus on mitigation measures to relieve traffic congestions. We need to prevent overcrowding and urban decay. We need to understand the cost-benefit analysis of proposed projects, meaning that new projects should generate sufficient revenues to the city to offset the cost of city services. I'm a first-generation Mexican-American, lifelong Republican, pro-business, anti-corruption, and pro-truth. I request that you grant me the opportunity to serve this city by appointing me to the Planning Commission. I have the desire, the time, the energy, and the lifelong experience. Thank you.
Again, I'll once again open it up to council for questions.
Just want to thank you. I've seen your planning commission meetings and council meetings, and I've always found your comments very educational and helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, we're not finished yet. Do we have any questions on the site?
I thought I was going to get off easy.
No. I've got the same question. What do you think the biggest challenge is for Lake Forest in the coming years?
Well, the previous speaker pretty much was correct. Infill, as the city develops, it intensifies. So then what you have to look at is property development standards, use permits for things like marijuana dispensaries, for group housing. There's a whole list of group housing that hasn't really visited our city. There's housing for parolees. There's housing for juveniles, juvenile delinquents, to say that. There's all kinds of different housing groups that will eventually visit our city. I was interested in the idea that we don't wait for those problems to come, is that we look ahead of time, looking at experiences of other cities and try to prepare ourselves for that.
Nothing further. Thank you so much for applying.
That's it.
Oh, wait.
Just one moment, if you would. For the sake of time, actually, I wasn't planning on speaking. I usually don't in appointments of planning commission members. However, I would be remiss if I did not mention how impressive your resume is. Very impressive. Your resume, your background. And I do not watch planning commission meetings, so that if and when a subject comes to my attention here, I would be able to look at it without any preconceived notion or predispositions. However, I did hear about you addressing the Planning Commission on a matter, and I heard how well you articulated and how much you were on point. I wanted to just share that with you and thank you. And again, I thank for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You made my evening.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Carter, if I could beg of you, Mr. Mayor, if I could have just, Mr. Carter, again, my plan was not to speak so that we could just go through this process quicker than we would have, but I can't help it. Say thank you for your years of service. Lake Forest is what it is, the great city that it is, which has been my home for 30-some-odd years, to a great extent, in a great part because of you and the few individuals, the few gentlemen like yourself, Mr. Carter. You are truly a good person, a genuine person. You have cared for Lake Forest over many, many years. That will never change. Thank you, sir.
Hugh Everhart.
Good evening, council, staff, community. My name is Hugh Everhart. I am a resident of Lake Forest since moving here with my family in 2006. My purpose in running for this position or asking for your support is that, as many of you know, because I've been here, it's just deja vu all over again, that I'm an Eagle Scout. I believe very firmly in giving back through leadership to my community. I think this is an excellent opportunity for me to do that. The reason being is because I'm a commercial real estate appraiser, which I've said many times up here before. And one of the things that sets commercial real estate appraisers apart from everybody is that we are hired and paid for our objectivity, our thorough analysis, our understanding of property use, trends, things going on from economics to social matters within a community. So I've, through a lot of training, have developed a skill set to not only look at redevelopment opportunities in terms of highest and best use issues, but also in where trends are taking communities and what I think is a fair assessment of how that community will go forward and what things would make that community go forward in a much more positive way. So I just wanted to let you know that if I am chosen, I will serve with integrity, honesty, and most of all, objectivity, because that's the training that I come to this with. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Again, once again, I'll open up the council.
Just wanted to say thank you for applying. I ran for the city council 3 times, and I lost 3 times. Then I finally got in the 4th time. So it takes courage to come back again. If you don't make it tonight, don't let that discourage you. You never give up.
I won't. I have enough work on my plate, but I'm happy to serve all the same. Thank you.
Very quickly, thank you very much for being here. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to ask you the same question I've asked everybody. What do you think our biggest challenges in the future are going to be?
Well, I definitely think, with all the expansion through the opportunity study, which was a great change, of course, the city looked at, with the closing down of the El Toro Marine Corps Air Base, what we could do to make the city better. And I think the opportunity plan netted great results with a greater mix of residential uses, retail, commercial. We still have quite a bit of industrial business here, which is great. But that also brings traffic issues. We have a toll road, but we don't have a public highway up here, so we tend to have a lot of downhill flow in the evenings of people going home and then to the other communities, and trans-city flow as well. I think we'll have some continuing traffic issues as we increase our population. I think we're doing a lot in terms of the traffic signal modification program with the surrounding communities. But I think we're going to run into some potential issues regarding school transit as parents take their kids downhill to El Toro High School. And we'll need to explore out-of-the-box thinking of how to deal with that. Maybe some kind of school district partnership with the city in terms of transportation other than a bunch of parents lining up on Serrano and Ridge Route to try and get their kids to school. So I think we're going to have some issues around those specific items, as well as the regular redevelopment issues down around the freeway.
Well, thank you for your application, and good luck to you.
All right, thank you.
Thomas Ludden.
While he's walking up, I think Jolene Fuentes, if she's at home watching, we hope you feel better.
Good evening, Mayor Voights and members of the City Council and staff and members of the audience. My name is Tom Ludden. I've been serving on the Planning Commission now for almost a year. And it's been a great experience. I really enjoyed it, and I'd like to continue that if I could. I think last time I came up here and did this, I mentioned that we lived in the city about 35 years now, in the same house about 30 of those years. And we've been part of Lake Forest 2 for most of that time. I'm presently on the board of directors of Lake Forest 2. I've been the treasurer for quite a while. And I also served on the Master Architectural Committee, so I got to hear firsthand what people liked and disliked in their neighborhoods. So I still hear that. And we still have issues that we deal with continually. My professional experience that would qualify me to continue to serve in this position, I was a construction project manager actually for quite a while, doing commercial real estate development for restaurants and commercial tracts. Did a lot of sign work, approvals with planning commissions and building departments and all that sort of thing. I primarily represented the owners. We had a real vested interest in their property, so I would spend a lot of time learning what the owner's perspective was in trying to get a project approved. Demographics are always important, the area where the project is located. One of the things I've learned being on the Planning Commission for the past year is that people come to the Planning Commission with projects that are real and personal to them. And we deserve to give them the best consideration possible. And that's one of the things I've tried to do, is to always be good to the people that come there, be respectful to them, consider everything that they're trying to do, and understand that they're either trying to make a living or improve their property. And I think that's really important, that we understand what they want, what they're trying to do. On the other hand, we have to balance that with what is best for the residents of the city. And that sometimes is a little bit difficult, because sometimes what the person developing the project wants doesn't necessarily fit necessarily what the city quite needs to do. So those are the decisions that we get to make. And I think the point is to always try and be fair and equitable and do the right thing. I thank you for the opportunity to have served the past year. I'd like to continue serving. And thank you very much for your time.
We'll open up for questions. Anything?
I had the advantage of not having been on the council, so I was able to attend many planning commissions, and I thought you did a good job. You were always thoughtful in your comments, and as you said, taking both sides into consideration. You always did your homework, so thank you very much.
Very quickly, I am very familiar with the great contribution you made for the last 14 months or so to the Planning Commission. You've been certainly a great addition. I thank you very much for stepping up last year when we needed the vacancy filled. I hope you get to continue in that capacity, and I'm sure you will be as great as you have proven to be over the last year. Thank you, Mr. Ludden.
Thank you.
And my question will be the same as everybody. We've got a lot of new stuff going on in the city of Lake Forest. We've got 86-acre sports park. We have the new housing. What do you think our big challenges is for the future?
Well, I think there's several. I think one, the projects that we worked on in the Planning Commission last year was to improve the cell phone service in the city. I think it's really important that we continue to work on that we simplify and streamline that process so that the cell operators that come into the city don't have to go through months and months of approvals in order to put cell sites up, especially in residential areas where we need to put them up where they're innocuous and they're not offensive to the residents that live there. That's one thing. I think we need to work hard on the City Hall, and I think we need to work on the Senior Center. And I think I'd like to be part of the Planning Commission that works on that project also. We still have work to do in Baker Ranch. They've come back to us twice now with modifications to their subdivision plans as they find out more and more about what people really want to buy in terms of the housing that they're offering. And there's issues to be dealt with there. We get signage issues quite regularly. I think we're going to have a number of issues to continue to work with in terms of Portola Hills, because there's still a lot of work to be done out there. We also have other businesses and other people that are redeveloping in the city. The development down at Lake Forest and Rockfield is a classic example of that, of an aging commercial tract area that they're now doing upgrades and things to bring that back up and modernize it to improve that entrance to our city, which is very visible from the freeway as people go by. So those are the types of things I think we need to keep working on, to work to try and plan ahead to do what we can to anticipate, situations that we'll need to address in the future.
Well, thank you for your service, and thank you for reapplying.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Jim Reichert.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Jim Reichert. I've been a resident of Lake Forest for 27 years, and during that time I've come to know this community really well, and I've come to know thousands of people. My daughter lives here, my granddaughter lives here, my brother-in-law lives here, and they're always bugging me to come to city council meetings and bug you about things. And I think I have a really good feeling for what's going on in the city because of those many people I've met as president of Lake Forest, who the coordinator of the anti-airport effort in Lake Forest, the member of the Lake Forest Community Council, an original member of the committee to found the city of Lake Forest, and one of the original inputters to our general plan, which I think does need to be looked at for some amendments, considering the way we are now and what happened 25 years ago was a little bit different. I think I'd be a good planning commissioner because I've got a lot of experience building buildings. In fact, if you look on the corner of Toledo and Alton Parkway, there's a building there. It used to be a Mazda building. I helped design and got approval through the city of Irvine for. I've developed and constructed and had approved massive distribution centers throughout the country, over 600 automobile dealerships throughout the country, dealing with signage, landscaping, all those issues that the Planning Commission comes to discuss. I think I'd be a good commissioner because I listen to people. I'm not a talker, I'm a listener. I ask the right questions. I think people who know me will say, judge Jim on the content of his character, which is really good. And I look forward to your support, and I would certainly welcome the chance. I'll take the 2-year term because there's some really good qualified people out there, and I realize your choices are going to be different or difficult. And I would say if you pick me for the Planning Commission, my term is over, you'll say, we made the right decision. He's a good guy for the job. And I would like to concentrate on traffic. That's my thing. In fact, if you ask Doug Anderson, he'll say, Jim's probably the most knowledgeable resident about traffic issues in our city. And those things involve not just the width of the streets, but how they're designed. Do we have right turn lanes? How are the traffic lights timed? Do we need left turn lights, no left turn lights? All those things that our residents tell us we need to do. That's what would be my primary focus on the Planning Commission. How do we consider traffic impacts with all the projects we consider? So that's my pitch in less than 3 minutes. And any questions? Thank you.
At this time, I will open it up for questions.
It would be hard to say whether you or Dave Carter are the busiest guys in the forest, but thank you for all your work in all those areas, the homeowner associations, the council, the Pride, the airport, so many issues. Thank you very much for your service to the city.
Appreciate that. I've enjoyed it. It's a great community.
Just want to quickly thank you for your application. I've had the pleasure of having made your acquaintance for the past couple of years. It is an honor, sir. It is an honor for me to have made your acquaintanceship, and thank you again for being here tonight.
Well, it's an honor to be considered for this.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, sir.
My question, and I know you're going to be your answer, but I've asked all the questions to the same to everybody. What do you think the biggest challenge in the coming years is going to be?
Traffic. The biggest traffic. There are other ones, but traffic is the biggest because of all the development. I think we also need to look at our neighborhoods. They're aging. Are our street conditions, are they adequate? Are our regulations regarding the use of our communities adequate? And how can we help homeowners, for example, on Rockfield and Ridge Route, the wall that's deteriorating? What are the things that we're okay to help with? Do we need to help? How can we help those communities upgrade and improve themselves?
Well, thank you for your involvement with the city, and thank you for your application.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Jerry Verplank.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, staff, and the public. I am Jerry Verplank, and I think it was 10 years ago that I first stood up here before the then City Council, and I applied for the Planning Commission. And it's been a long journey of 10 years. I've been privileged to serve this community as a commissioner. We started a lot of things back then. The OSA was just getting underway. The sports park was talked about. It wasn't yet even totally defined. And all of these, the big ones, those are the crown jewels over the last 10 years. I've been honored to be a part of that. But a couple of smaller things that a lot of public doesn't even recognize is we did something like citywide design guidelines that are going to be impacting this city into perpetuity, as well as the retaining wall guidelines. Those are two of the big ones, and those are really coming into play with the new development. So it'd be my privilege, again, and my pleasure, if I find favor with you, that I'd like to go ahead and serve for another 4 years, because I believe that what I started 10 years ago is not yet finished. We've got a lot of new homes going to be built here, and I want to see that those projects get finished correctly. And I know they will, whether I'm on the commission or not, but I'd like to be a part of it. I'm here for questions.
I'll once again open it up for questions.
Again, as I said before to Mr. Ludden, I had the opportunity, you saw me many times at the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission that was started 2 years ago was a very, very rocky existence. It gave us Andrew, so it couldn't have been bad, but there were times when it could have gotten out of control. You did a terrific job managing that and being a steady voice and making that a productive committee when it might have gone, a commission when it might have gone elsewhere. So congratulations to you for what I thought was a fine job providing stability and maturity to the commission. Thank you.
Very much. Appreciate that.
Very quickly, Mr. Verplank, the privilege and the honor you spoke about has been that of the councils, I promise you. It's been a privilege and an honor to have you in the capacity of a planning commission member. Many, many years of service. As I said about Mr. Carter, to a great extent, the city is the fine city that it is because of you. What some, maybe most, don't realize is that you folks actually do a lot more than the council does. I mean, truth be told, I've seen those binders, I've seen those maps, and the volume of the work is definitely more immense, especially at times, at points, for you folks than it is for us. I hope you get to continue, and it'll be a privilege and honor for you to continue your fine work. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your comments. I would have to say that the staff of this city is remarkable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I concur.
I think we all benefit from that.
I do concur. Yes, sir.
Tremendous credit.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I always appreciate you complimenting our staff, and I want to thank you for your service to our city. But as someone that has a track record with the city and institutional knowledge, what do you think the biggest challenges are in the future?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think what we're really looking at is how do we take what we've started, and we have so much going in the city right now, and how do we successfully integrate that? So everyone else has talked about the traffic, and I concur completely. We're never going to resolve the traffic issue 100%. And I think we're all smart enough to know that that's always going to have some, some give and some take in it. But we've got all these new housing units that are coming on board now, and will be coming on board over the next 3, 4, 5 years. And we've got to strike that balance with housing and businesses. And my goal would be to get this city to really focus on attracting a work-live type of a designation, so that people who don't just pass through Lake Forest, they live in Lake Forest, and they work in Lake Forest. So finding a way to successfully integrate what we've already started and develop sound businesses so that people can come and buy the homes here, they can move here, and they can work here. That's what I see as our biggest challenge.
That's a great goal. Okay. Shop, dine, and work in Lake Forest.
Absolutely. All right.
Well, thank you for your service, and thank you for your reapplication, and good luck to you.
Thank you for your time.
Stan Yambo.
Good evening. My name is Stan Yambo, and I'm here, a resident of Lake Forest, of course, and I'm from Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo. I grew up in Kinshasa. I attended a high school that was very particular. It was specialized in public work and construction, so the intention was for me to become an architect. But my first year in university, we clashed with the government because it was a dictatorship, so the university was closed by the government. So I changed my major, graduated as a computer programmer. in the private school, of course, because all the public schools were closed. So I came to the United States. I lived in Los Angeles for like 15 years, but I wanted a quiet life, so I tried to move. So I moved to West Covina, and then I was hired here in Lake Forest in the Prominence Hotel. So I was commuting every day, almost over 1 hour. So I decided to live in a hotel so I can make sure I can find a place where I can live, and so I can commute less, me and my wife. So when I was staying at the hotel, I drove around and I loved the city. And of course, my wife joined me at the hotel, so we went for a few dinners and dates. The chili chutneys. You have like the restaurant Miguel's and stuff. So we loved the city and we felt so comfortable. So we decided to move to Lake Forest. So I'm like, this is home, and I want to be part of the community. So I'm like, I cannot be part of the community if I don't know what's going on. So I say, you know what, I want to decide to come to the city council and see what are the officials and what's going on. So I came over. I met people like former Mayor Robinson, Mayor Scott, Hamilton, Dr. Jim Gardner, Adam Hicks, and they're fantastic. I said, this is fantastic. And I went online and saw Mr. Hamilton actually on the commission. And I was like, I want to join the commission. So I decided to say, you know what, I'm going to apply. But what am I bringing here? I have over 20 years in the hotel experience. And the hotel experience I'm saying is construction, renovation, regulations, anything you can think of when it comes to constructions and structuring a property. That's what I did. I helped so many owners from Hollywood, Marina Del Rey, to West Covina, to restructure so many hotels. Excuse me. I am sick also, so I'm going to fist bump you. So I've helped so many owners to transform many crossroad hotel to small luxury hotel. I've helped to train so many hotels. I've helped train actually a 5-star, 5-diamond property in Miami, a PGA resort, and my record show. I can show you the recommendation letters. I came in Lake Forest and I restructured the Prominence Hotel. I think everybody come over and see exactly how it look like. So the Planning Commission, why? Because I am ready. Like the code, the planning code said, I'm ready to act as a custodian of the visual character of the city. I'm ready to plan for the physical development of the city. I am ready to review and approve or deny the tentative for subdivision of the map. I am ready to report and to make a recommendation to the City Council for the establishment of appropriate zoning standard. And in short, I am ready to serve the City of Lake Forest as a commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'll open it up for questions.
I just wanted to say you're already serving the city everywhere I go. You've been here just a short time. I go to Kiwanis, you're at Kiwanis.
Thank
I
you.
go to the chamber, you're at the chamber. Go to city workshops, you're at workshops. You're here at the council meetings. So you're already a part of the city, and thank you very much for your involvement.
Thank you very much.
I too want to thank you, Mr. Yambo. It's been a pleasure to have made your acquaintanceship over the last couple of years.
Pleasure's
It's
mine.
always a pleasure to see you and shake your hand, even if I have to
fist bump. Yes.
Well, Yambo,
Yes.
I first of all want to thank you for applying, and you have made a great impact already in the city. Your spirit goes wherever you go, so you've got a great spirit about you. And why don't you introduce your wife to us all?
Oh yeah, this is my wife, Josie Yambo. She came to support me tonight, so thank you very much.
Okay, and my question to you, as everybody, what do you think are biggest challenges in the coming years?
Well, traffic will be a big challenge because the city's growing, but you have more, actually, a lot of stuff to talk about. And especially when you read the coding, when it comes to marijuana, adult businesses, and all that. As the city going to grow, all those subjects will come on the table, so it will become a challenge. And more than that, City of Lake Forest is from the 5 to the canyon. So with the new development, actually, we might actually forget certain area of Lake Forest, meaning we might keep an old Lake Forest and a new Lake Forest. So those are the challenges we might have actually in the near future. So we just have to open our eyes and make sure we don't create that unbalanced city. We have to keep the equilibrium of the city. So that would be the challenge.
Thank you for applying. Thank you for already jumping in Lake Forest with both feet. And I love seeing you around, so good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
And that concludes the applicant presentations.
Okay, Council. And that brings us to our ballots. So everybody, if you could cast your ballots, round one.
Underneath the... And you would be voting for up to 4 candidates.
I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming out tonight. I think we've got a lot of great candidates. Thank you for your past, present, future service to our community. And you're definitely making this a tough decision for us all. So thank you. Thank you to everyone.
I just want to add to that there's more than 4 excellent people, and there's only 4 positions. So aren't we lucky as a city to have so many talented people here? If I remember the mayor's initial comments a few weeks ago, he's going to consider an ad hoc traffic committee, and I hope if those of you who don't make it into the commission will consider joining that traffic committee when or if it gets approved. So thank you very much. We're lucky to have you.
I, too, would like to convey my gratitude for all of you for applying and being part of Lake Forest. We really appreciate it. And as my opening statement at the beginning of the year, traffic is also, in the eyes of many of us here on the dais, the #1 issue coming before us in the city of Lake Forest. And so we have, staff is working on formulating a traffic ad hoc committee for our city, to where we will have a traffic advisory board to us, and so they'll be looking at the challenges before us in the coming years in traffic, and those that we can be resolved and possibly helped right now. So I want to thank you guys all for applying, and I really do appreciate it.
Mayor Voights, after one round of voting, we have consensus on 3 candidates: Jolene Fuentes, Thomas Ludden, and Jerry Verplank.
So that brings us to round 2. Cast your ballots, please.
Did somebody come in 4th place, clearly?
We can't.
don't go to...
No, I can certainly announce that. Mr. Carter received 2 votes. Mr. De Almeida received 2 votes. Mr. Everhart received 2 votes. And Mr. Yambo received 1 vote.
I'm not clear. Okay, thank you.
And Jim Reichert received 1. I apologize.
So just to repeat, 2 for Carter, 2 for Almeida, 2 for Everhart, 1 for Reichert, and 1 for Yambo.
Correct.
Okay.
Once. In round 2, Mr. De Almeida received 1 vote. Mr. Everhart received 2 votes. Mr. Reichert received 1 vote. And Mr. Yambo received 1 vote.
So proceed to round 3.
Mr. De Almeida received 1 vote, Mr. Everhart 2 votes, Mr. Reichert 1 vote, Mr. Yambo 1 vote.
Sorry. Thank you, everybody, for applying. Each and every one of you brought something great to the table.
In round 3, Mr. Carter received 1 vote, Mr. De Almeida received 2 votes, and Mr. Everhart received 2 votes.
Would you repeat that, please? Dave Carter received 1 vote.
Mr. De Almeida received 2 votes, and Mr. Everhart received 2 votes.
The choices now are between De Almeida and Everhart? Is that correct? Or the choice is still open?
I don't think we've defined any
Yeah.
rules here, so.
We didn't. In normal, we would have set those guidelines beforehand, but, okay. Cast your votes.
For anybody, or just, are we limiting them?
Of the 3 remaining that are on ballot.
3 remaining.
Oh, we haven't even said it that far.
Okay,
so
we haven't. We can't call it.
You guys can if you want, but, I mean, at this point, I'm still considering everybody a viable option here, so I haven't eliminated anything myself.
Okay.
In the 4th round, Mr. De Almeida received 2 votes, Mr. Everhart received 2 votes, Mr. Yambo received 1 vote. The council may, moving forward, go, could define the candidates to move forward, or you could continue to vote at large.
It really, due to time limitations, I think that those candidates that have received votes stay on, and I think that the highest 2 vote getters are the ones that move on. You have 2 and 2.
Can I suggest that we go with,
Yeah,
just for
you
the
could-
2 who vote for the 2?
I move
who have
to,
2.
given that it's, I have your consent, I move to nominate Mr. Robert Del Almeida, and I apologize if I mispronounce the last name. I move to nominate Mr. Robert. If somebody could second me, and then we can take a vote on it.
I'll second it.
And I'll make a motion that we nominate Hugh Everhart. Due to,
And I'll second.
so my vote will come first.
Substitute motion is what you...
Yes, sir.
Okay, calling the vote for Hugh Everhart. All in favor, say, please cast your votes.
That motion failed 2-3.
Okay. Okay, all in favor of Robert Del Almeida?
That motion carried 3-2.
Congratulations, everybody, and thank you, everybody, for applying. That brings us to item number 12. Okay.
We're going to talk about terms for the appointees.
Oh, yes. You want to?
Mr. Members of the Council, I believe when you first started this, you indicated that you would ask the 4 appointed individuals if any of them had a preference as to the 2-year term. If not, you would draw lots.
So of the four, would any of you be willing to serve the 2-year term?
How about if we give it to the person who's not here?
So in lieu of that, we'll pull a normal customary pulls. That's what they're doing. Drawing lot.
This is the For serving the 2-year term would be Jolene Fuentes.
That brings us to item number 12.
Agenda item 12, discussion regarding the city's membership in the League of California Cities, submitted by City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I'll actually turn to Mr. Tomaino to provide just a brief introductory remark or two on this item.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, as you know, the League of California Cities is a nonpartisan advocacy organization whose mission is to represent the interests of local communities at the state level. The League was created in the late 19th century as a means to encourage collaboration between local communities and ensure representation of local issues at that level. The League is currently the largest local government advocacy organization in California. Approximately 98% of all cities belong to the League. The League monitors numerous legislative proposals and provides analysis to its membership regarding their potential impacts on local communities. The League Board of Directors formulates its policies based on feedback from its League policy committees, which are staffed by elected officials. This collaborative process between local elected officials and the League informs policy direction on a variety of issues the League undertakes. In terms of the legislative process, staff utilizes the League's extensive resources to better understand proposals that may impact the city. The League is one of the important sources of information that augments the city's legislative platform. The League utilizes feedback from its membership, typically in the form of letters of support or opposition on specific bills, to further articulate policy discussions with the state legislators. In addition to providing advocacy efforts, the League has either successfully spearheaded or provided significant support for major ballot initiatives such as Proposition 22 and Proposition 42, which have protected local taxpayer funding from shifts by the state of California. When necessary, the League seeks judicial remediation for certain but important policy issues. The League is also an important source of education for its members. It holds various webinars and professional development meetings designed to both educate and elicit feedback from elected officials and staff on a variety of emerging issues. The city benefits from this interaction, which fosters greater communication among cities and, of course, with the League regarding various solutions to challenges that are often actually posed by the state of California. This concludes staff's presentation. Of course, we're happy to answer any questions from the council. In addition, tonight we have Mr. Tony Cardenas, representing the League of California Cities. He's also available to answer questions from the City Council. Thank you.
Well, that brings us to, first off, before we call, any public comments?
Yes, Dave Bass.
I'm here to recommend that you continue to membership with the League of California Cities. During my career with the city, have been involved in the League. With the League, I've been on a policy committee. I was on the GAN Limit Task Force that wrote the current guidelines that are being used by cities. It's through local officials and employees that helps make statewide policy and make it effective for the cities. Let me give you some reasons why I think the city should remain member. I've heard that part of the consideration is that the league may not be conservative enough. If that's a concern, if Lake Forest is not longer a member, then that removes a bit of a conservative a voice from the league. I want to point out that Mayor Voigt is on a policy committee of the league, the Rev and Tax Policy, as it's called. There are, I believe, 8 committees, but that's the key committee. And previous meeting, you guys have took a position on Prop 13 and maintaining that. If it's discussed, that's the committee it'll be discussed on at the league. Last year, the city got special legislation passed on its redevelopment agency. The league helped support it and lobby for it. And it was the only fixed redevelopment bill that was signed by the governor last year. The league does provide training for elected officials and also for staff. As pointed out in the staff meeting, it does hold elections training for city clerks, and I know that that's a key one for city clerks. It also does it for other department directors and other key personnel in the city. The other thing, which may not be as readily apparent, is and this happens to all cities, as you go through turnover at key positions and key levels, it will cause those who are considering a city who is not a member of the league as to why they are not a member of the league when virtually all cities are a member of the league. So it makes the recruitment, it just makes it a little bit tougher, and it is a tight job market in the department director and division manager positions, and so for those reasons I would urge you to continue your membership in the league. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've had no further requests.
Well, I think that our Orange County rep for the California League of Cities is here.
Mayor Voigt, member of the City Council, thank you for the opportunity. Tony Cardenas, I'm the league staff assigned here locally to Orange County. Back in 1898, our forefathers in local government knew in order to have a relevant voice at the Capitol, we needed a unified front. That was the genesis of the League of California Cities 117 years ago. And our core mission remains the same, that's to protect and promote local control. When the financial question is appropriately asked, does a city, in this case Lake Forest, specifically benefit from being a member of the League of Cities? The answer is yes. To highlight that, I provided you with a matrix that highlights all the different pots of money that the league has directly protected, whether it's property tax, sales tax, highway user tax, Prop 42 tax. When you tabulate all those pots of money and you compare it to the membership that this city has paid for since 2005, the return on investment ratio is 134 to 1. It's very compelling. Again, when you tabulate all those pots of money, over $22.5 million protected of Lake Forest taxpayer dollars. In terms of training and advocacy, training and education, we provide several opportunities for elected officials and city staff. I like to say we're a one-stop shop for all the various professions in local government, whether that's city managers, police chiefs, public works, city clerks. We have a department for all of those, and it's very beneficial. But in my opinion, the true power of the league is our advocacy efforts. Pushing those local government priorities forward at the Capitol. At your disposal, we have a legislative department. This council, this staff has a legislative department to provide advocacy, to provide analysis, and to be responsive to your needs. And this department analyzes and lobbies on over 1,000 bills each and every year, and a report is made available to the member cities each year. But one example I really want to highlight that comes in the form of AB 1147. Back in 2009, the state usurped power from the local level to regulate the time, place, and manner of massage parlors. And since 2009, in Orange County and in Lake Forest, we've seen a mass proliferation of these massage parlors. The league got together with its membership, it heard from its members, and it took action. What we did is we co-sponsored a bill AB 1147 to bring more local to bring the local control back to the city level and away from states, away from the state. After a year-long fight up at the Capitol, fighting the status quo, we got that bill passed and signed by the governor, and now Lake Forest can amend its code so that Lake Forest and not the state can decide the time, place, and manner of massage parlors. So that is just one example of many in terms of legislation, and quite frankly, no other organization in the state could have achieved this on behalf of cities. One more important component of our advocacy is our litigation. We're known to sue the state when we feel it transgresses its authorities, and one example is the case that we have against the state on SB 7. We're trying to protect charter cities from getting prevailing wage mandated to them. So that's just one example of our litigation. Finally, I'm going to close with just the Orange County Division, which I manage. The Orange County Division, we meet on a quarterly basis here in Orange County. We rotate it from north, central to south. We have a board of directors comprised of local elected officials right here from Orange County. In regards to our membership, we've hit an all-time high for the past 2 decades. We've experienced more members, more cities participating in the Orange County Division. We have 28 of the 34 of the cities here. And we have one board member from the 5th District, and she requested that I make this give this example. Her city, Laguna Niguel, back in 2013 pulled out of the league. And I would say after about 5 months, the city council and staff, they realized the repercussions of pulling out. And they pulled out because we were perceived to be a liberal organization. But after 5 months, they revisited rejoining the league. They did rejoin in 5 months. When they did, I requested this elected official to get involved, and she did. And she is now the vice chair of our Transportation Policy Committee. She serves on our board of directors. And she understands why we should have strong voices, strong Orange County voices within the league. And the statement that she wanted to leave here is what I was planning to close with, and that's just give us a shot, get involved, see what we're really about. That way you all can make the best, most informed decision possible whether the city truly benefits. And with that, I'll close and answer any questions.
I know the answer, but I'd like to, for the knowledge of my fellow council members, 98% of the cities in California, 98% of the cities of the state of California, what's the total amount of cities in the state of California?
482.
And 478 of those 73, okay, are members of the California League of Cities. Is that correct?
Correct.
Open it up for further questions. Okay, stand by. He's got a comment.
Okay.
Yeah, and you sit on the front row there.
Thank you very much.
Open it for council.
I definitely don't want to take too long here. I know we've got some people in the audience that are ill up here too. So, and I know there's many benefits of staying. Staff, speakers have mentioned those. I just think neutrality is important. You talked about a united front, and there are issues that don't seem to unify all cities. That some of the positions you've taken is the league. I think the league shouldn't be either conservative or liberal. I think it should be one to represent all the cities. So I don't need it to be conservative or something like that. I think it should be a unifying factor. In fact, the league's policy platform have taken a lot of time, and these are the issues that they support: climate change, the grocery bag ban. They de-emphasize automobile dependency. They're in favor of short-term tax increases, a simple majority to increase taxes for debt issuances. They're for internet taxes, for the high-speed rail, as proposed by the governor and now is being built. They're for helmet and seatbelt laws, although those are great. I think people should do that themselves, but not have the government tell them to do it. Taxes on satellite TV, nanny state type things. So that's my 2 cents. I'm not sure how I'm going to vote on this, but those are my 2 cents.
I just want to quickly echo what Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton said. I fully realize that if 98% of a pool are doing something, it ought to be the right thing. I am just conflicted because the more I look into your particular stands, the more I disagree with your organization. He actually, Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton, what he mentioned is actually a partial list. That list goes on and on. I'm just conflicted. 98% are doing it, so it's got to be the right thing, I guess. The staff is recommending it. I think the world of Mr. Dunick. I think the world of the city manager, Mr. Dunick, and he is for this. Maybe there's something I'm missing. I don't know. Just the more I look into how you have stood on particular issues, the more I realize I have nothing in common with you. With all the respect, with your organization, I mean. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And I said that with all the respect.
I think what you're missing is the organization represents the states, whatever it is, hundreds of states, hundreds of cities. And if those cities have a bent that's slightly left of center, which you disagree with, it's not the organization's fault when they're representing the cities. If they're representing the cities in California, and most of the cities in California want that particular thing, then the league is doing its rightful business by representing them. So I think we look at, I've talked to the staff about the other things that they get and the listserv and the value that the league has in terms of education, training, providing resources. So I think you have to look at the whole picture, not just the fact that they're advocating on behalf of most of the Democrats in Sacramento, et cetera, et cetera. That may not be our cup of tea, but when they're out there representing all the cities, they're probably drinking from that cup of tea, even though it's not our cup of tea. So I think they have value in what they provide, and I don't think the league itself should be blamed for representing the cities that who are their members.
I was going to make the exact same comment, Councilmember Gardner. It's the member cities that are the ones that determine what the policy is of the league, and so, the more active cities are, then the more you're going to be represented. There are probably plenty of cities, and I think at this point we're one, at least from the elected body, that isn't actively involved. So when I look at this, the real question is, what are we willing to put into it so we can get more out of it? So, if we're not willing to put into it for whatever reason, maybe we think it's futile because we're in a state that heavily leans the wrong direction. If that's the reason, but we don't put anything into it, then we're not going to get anything out. It could be that we're just all really busy, and so we can't put into it. Mayor Voights is putting into it on the Revenue Tax Policy Committee, and he's mentioned to me on a number of occasions that he's been able to actually affect change on that committee, get committee members to take a more moderate stance than they probably normally would, because he was able to communicate with them his position and be able to explain something that maybe in different parts of the state they never hear that side of the argument, right? So it's really, for me, again, it's you only get out of it what you're going to put into it. So, you can write the check every year, and the five of us cannot be involved in any way. We're not going to get a whole lot out of it from our side of it. The staff will get what they want. I appreciate some of the numbers that have been shared. A lot of people take credit for those same numbers, so that's the part that I don't think I'll ever know what the real number is. I just know we're getting value out of it. I feel pretty confident about that. But our our lobbyist, ACCOC, and probably some of our staff and so forth would take credit for some of those wins, and I think that they really do. They all deserve a percentage of credit there. So, but we're spending a little bit more than what we're actually getting out in each one of those instances where we're seeing some sort of return. But I still feel like it's better than 1-to-1. Might not be 130 or 40 or whatever to 1, whatever that number was, but it's probably not 1-to-1 or less. It's somewhere in between, and I feel like we're getting some value there. But again, that's the part that I'm going to stress is that if we want to get something out of it, then we have to be willing to put into it. So whether that's done at the local level or the statewide level, and just frankly, I personally don't have the time to do it. I wish I really did. I really wish I could put more into it, but I don't have the time. And so it's trying to balance, okay, how many different groups are we going to support to try to help us who are probably going to say they're doing the same thing, which is, the ledge tracking and the lobbying and so forth, and where do we say, okay, I think I've got that part covered, and so what more does this extra group provide me? But I'm not sold on the conservative liberal divide or anything like that. The only way that's ever going to change is for cities that are the opposite of wherever the situation is now getting involved. And again, I wish I had the time, but I really don't. So it's my comments.
98% of the cities of California are members of this organization. The demographics of the state of California is highly Democratic. So when I go to the state convention or to the league training seminars or to my committee meeting, there are a majority of Democrats in the room? Yes, but let me tell you when they come under the banner of the League of Cities, the League defines its core mission according to the following tenets. Local self-governance is the cornerstone of democracy. Our strength lies in unity of our diversity communities of interest, in the involvement of stakeholders to establish goals in solving problems, in conducting the business of government in transparency, openness, respect, and civility. The spirit of honest public service that builds communities. Our long discussion making this the highest ethical standards, honors, and public trust. Cities that are viewed as the strength of the California economy. And that, where was there one other one? Partnerships and collaborations are established entities of focused adversities and lobbying. And ethical and well-informed citizen officials are essential for responsible visionary leadership and effective city operations. Over the past 10 years, the League has utilized its presence and influence in Sacramento to lead the campaigns to protect local government's revenues by directly participating in the passage of Propositions 90, 98, and 99. Most recently, it passed Proposition 22. Proposition 22 was when Governor Brown found out that the cities were sitting on these huge treasuries of redevelopment money, and he wanted that money. And the League is the one that helped us defend from them coming in and actually just taking it out from under us. So then he dissolved the whole thing because he said, you can't have it neither. But the fact is, I'll tell you that when I go there, the people of the League and those that are even from the Democratic cities believe in that we as local governments are strongest when we're unified. The mission is to expand and protect local control for cities through education and advocacy to enhance the quality of life for all Californians. That old saying that united we stand, divided we fall. Government is far-reaching, and they are looking at the wealth of the cities. The cities that actually, where we as on the dais, even when my Democratic colleagues that are involved with the city, a League of Cities, they know how to balance a budget. And the majority of them, not mentioning Stockton or some of the other ones, but the fact is the majority of the cities know how to balance a budget. So the fact that the state and their long-reaching tentacles are looking at ways they can get the money from the cities. And I think that it's going to be a unified city organization like League of Cities, and then without the conservative voices that we as council members here would bring to that, I don't know, I fear to think of what the league would go, because the fact is that you can't score a touchdown unless you're on the field. You can't advocate your ideas, or you can't argue in the battlefield of ideas if you're not present. I think it takes us being present at those conventions in those places. So my motion is that we accept and continue on with the league. I think that it's just it's dime wise but dollar foolish for us to pull out, because of the fact is the advocacy that goes on there, the influence we have in the state through the league, and the fact is that I think that more of us should be involved. I mean, I think that I really wish, I know Mayor Robbins has got a huge business in just his driving time going up and down the 405, but I encourage some of us to get involved. Roll up our sleeves and make a difference in the state, the direction, because you have a voice in the league. It's not the money. I think it's the advocacy that we get there is the thing that I beg you to really realize and take a visionary look at what we get out of it.
I second Mr. Voigt's motion. I second Mr. Voigt's, Mayor Voigt's motion. And I just want to quickly add that the question I posed, it was pretty much a question to myself as to your particular stance. As I said, I knew where Mr. Dunick stood, having known that now, and having heard some of my colleagues here, I now know what I was missing. And what I was missing, I've got to be truthful, what I was missing is that you do a great job. It is not your fault that most of California is not conservative. So I guess here in South Orange County we are the last of what do we call? Well, how do we say that? Last breed, I guess we say. The last breed, or the last beacon of hope. But so you do a good job. You do a good job representing your constituencies, and I appreciate that. I just wish I could be part of the majority. I've always been part of the minority.
With that, we're open. There's been a second to my motion, but I'd like to say a few words. The last time I remembered, it was last summer, or it was just before 2012, and I know it was 2012 because my two friends on my right were running for city council. And Governor Brown's people came, his chief of staff came to San Diego to speak to our Tax and Rev Committee, asking for support of the education tax that would end all education tax, Proposition 30. He came asking for Proposition 30, and I was so offended he would come to our group and ask that after he's been trying to steal our money through our redevelopment aid. I turned up my tables and I laid into them. I had the whole room. Not only did they go away with no endorsement of Proposition 30, the Tax and Rev Committee actually endorsed against Proposition 30. And so that staffer ran out of the room embarrassed because Governor Brown had to get on the phone and call state league officials, and they took a no stance. The executive board actually overturned our endorsement against and said they weren't going to take a stand. But the fact is, it's happened time and time again where I think that our advocacy up there and our voice, and that's why it's so important for each and every one of us to stand up for what we believe in. And if you're not in the battlefield of ideas, then get into it. But with that, I call the vote.
Can I just have one more comment? Yes. I appreciate your comments, all my colleagues, and I think it's, I still hold my opinion, but maybe we need to get more involved.
Well, on that, the issues that you were talking about, those were all issues that were brought up at league committee meetings. But the fact is, and Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, did the league ever take a stand on any of those issues? Trash bags? We didn't take a stand on trash bags or high-speed rail.
discussed, but we went neutral. We didn't take we were encouraged to support, but we went neutral.
We were asked because the governor wanted us to take a high-speed rail in support of. We refused to do it. And that's a huge sign of opposition against that. You know what we also did? You all remember just the last election cycle, the water bond. Everybody talked about the water bond. It was the California League's ideas for water storage. They didn't take all of our ideas, but they took a large part of the water storage that's in the water bonds from the League and integrated into their water bonds. Is that not true?
Yes.
So thank you so much for your involvement with the League and with us. And with that, I call the vote.
Thanks for the opportunity to testify. Thank you.
That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, gentlemen. And I encourage you to.
If I may, I have the commitment to circle back with you both, Councilmember Nick and Mayor Pro Tem Hamilton, to address any concerns. You have that commitment if you so choose to take me up on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, brings us to manager report.
I have nothing further this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Brings me back to council. Dr. Jim Gardner.
I'd like to thank everybody for sticking with us. And as I said, we had so many talented people, and I'm sorry they're not all on the commission, so I'd like to get consensus to go ahead with the mayor's idea of the ad hoc traffic committee and get the staff working on that to bring that back.
Staff is in process right now. I just talked to him tonight.
Oh, okay, great. And that's all I have.
That brings me to Councilman Adam Nick.
I thank you all for being here tonight, staying with us. I thank the staff for the superior job they always do. I thank my two chiefs, Mr. Dunick and Mr. Smith, Mr. Belmer for his thorough presentation during the closed session. Thank you, David. I thank my colleagues to my left. Once again, I wish everybody a great Happy New Year. Thank you and good night.
We'll bring it to Mayor Pro Tem Andrew Hamilton.
No, thank you. There really were a great pool of candidates for the Planning Commission. I think everyone still left here, and those that have left, just great qualifications. So I want to thank everybody. One of the things I was going to mention, and maybe I'll wait till next time because Councilman Robinson's not here, so about the bids and the RFPs. But I just want to encourage staff again, try and get as many bids as you can on these two that we just approved tonight. So with that, I say that with a smile. Thank you, staff, for all your hard work, and that's all.
And we'll just wait a minute for Councilman Robinson. I will. I attended the grand opening of the Norm Reeves Auto Center. They took over Flattable, and Norm Reeves took over 2 dealerships over there in the auto center. And I was there on behalf of not only the city, but I was there for Assemblyman Don Wagner. And Mayor Choi was gleaming in all the tax revenue and talking at the opening about how the city was so appreciative of them. Well, when I got up, I said that we just love being the southern neighbor of Irvine because we eat the crumbs from the table, or is it the Irvine customers that shop at Auto Center and the workers that are going to eat in Lake Forest? They are eating at the crumbs of Lake Forest because the fact is we get quite a bit of business, and many of our citizens work in that auto center, those auto dealerships, and I think that the people, when they get off the freeway, guess what freeway the majority of the time they get off on is Lake Forest Drive, and so they're going to be driving and eating and dining at our new Gateway Plaza. So I was very thrilled to brag about that, and they were thrilled to have me. So that was a big thing, and so with that, I have nothing further. I wish you guys all a great week. Don't give me a hug or a shake tonight because I'm not feeling well. But Mayor Robinson, do you have anything further? And with that, I adjourn the meeting. Thank you all thank you for the candidates. I really do appreciate your involvement.